So good to go to the next item on the agenda. Item number 3, Village and Barrio traffic circles. Okay, I'm going to give the floor to Jonathan.
Okay, I'm going to share my screen. Can you see that?
Yes.
Yes.
Chair Gogan, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Well, I'm not Chair Gogan, but I can hear you.
Okay, good evening. My name is Hossein Ajide. I'm an engineering manager. With me is Jonathan Shabal, senior engineer. Also with me is Matt Kabouzi with the consultant team to answer any question related to the project feasibility study. We are here to present on Village and Barrio traffic circles, CIP project number 4015. Recommended action for tonight would be that the Traffic and Mobility Commission support the staff's recommendation to implement the Village and Barrio Traffic Circles Capital Improvement Program, CIP project number 4015. With that, I turn it over to Mr. Shabal, who's going to talk about the details of this project.
Good evening, commissioners. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
And is the slide filling the whole screen for you?
Yes.
Perfect. Okay. So to start, a little background on this project, the Village and Barrio Master Plan was developed starting way back in 2013 with an extensive public outreach process. It included 3 draft plans, 3 planning commission public hearings, and ultimately council adopted the plan in July of 2018, and Coastal Commission approved the plan in October of last year. Talking to the lead planner from the city who led this process, he said the top 2 concerns for Barrio residents were traffic and pedestrian safety. So as a result, you can see there are actual traffic calming features identified in the Village and Barrio Master Plan, and that's where this project comes from. So to start off, as Hossein said, this is project number 4015. It's in our capital improvement program. We have 3 funding sources, total project budget right now of $1.5 million. We have Transnet funds administered through SANDAG. We have sewer replacement funds and also general capital construction funds, that's GCC. And this project proposes to construct traffic circles at 8 specific intersections located within the Village and Barrio. Actually, 7 of those 8 locations are in the Barrio, only 1 is in the Village. And this project's goal is to calm traffic by slowing down vehicles and providing a safe and more inviting environment for bicyclists and pedestrians. So the figure on your right is also in your staff report packet. This is Exhibit 1. And you can see there's a little yellow symbol, roundabout sign at those 8 intersections. And those are identified in the Village and Barrio Master Plan for traffic circles. So the first step is working with the project consultant team. We looked at a feasibility analysis for all these 8 locations for finding out if they were viable to implement a traffic circle. So here's, you can see the bullet items. These are the different things that were looked at by the consultants. They looked at collision history. They actually went out and did speed surveys. They took an inventory of the existing signs out in the Barrio, speed limit signs, also stop signs. They actually did traffic counts to get accurate traffic volume data. They looked at truck turning movements, interviewed businesses and truck drivers, conducted fastest path evaluation for vehicles going through a hypothetical traffic circle. And for bicyclists, they looked at a level of traffic stress analysis. So the conclusions of their feasibility analysis showed that traffic circles are feasible at 6 of the 8 intersections. One of the locations will require some community feedback, and I'll go into a little bit more on that in the next slide. Traffic circles are not feasible at 2 of the intersections. And so in lieu of the traffic circle, we're proposing installing some alternative traffic calming measures. And again, you'll see that in a future slide. So this is another graphic, just like the earlier Exhibit 1 that I showed, except this one has letters A, B, and C for the different categories of the traffic circles based on the feasibility and analysis. So you can see A, the traffic circles are feasible at those locations, and there's 5 of those. And then B is at Oak and Roosevelt. And at that location, a traffic circle can be implemented, but due to a high volume of truck turning, going to the businesses, making deliveries on Tyler, and also the fact that it's already a 4-way stop control intersection, it may not be warranted at that location. So we're going to reach out to the community as part of the public outreach process and get their feedback. The 2 locations labeled C at the south end of the Barrio is Magnolia and Madison, and also Harding and Palm. At those 2 locations, traffic circle would not be feasible, and that's due to the fastest path analysis for that. There's one leg where there's just not enough deflection based on the existing right-of-way to slow down a vehicle. So like I said, we're going to propose some alternative traffic calming measures at those 2 intersections. So here's a conceptual photo simulation showing what a traffic circle could look like at Madison Street and Pine Avenue, and this is looking west. They did such a good job, you can't quite tell what's a new feature and what's existing. But if you go out there today, there's actually no crosswalk. So we're showing a high visibility crosswalk there. Also, instead of apex ramp, we would be installing the directional ramps. And you can see the central feature of a small concrete curb with a lot of landscaping and even some public art. As part of the next budget update, we're asking for $100,000 for public art as part of this project. And that's just an example of something that could go in the middle of the traffic circle. So for those 2 locations where traffic circles were infeasible, here's one at Madison and Magnolia, and here north is at the top of the screen. And you can see we're proposing, again, high visibility crosswalks, but you'll notice there's a concrete raised median island, sort of those gray polygons sort of in the middle of Magnolia there. And those can also act as a refuge island for pedestrians, shortening the crossing distance, giving them a place to pause there, waiting for traffic. And the key here is you've got narrow travel lanes, only 10 foot for the vehicle, and that horizontal deflection means that you'll slow down vehicles going through that intersection. And again, we would put in ADA compliant curb ramps. And here's similar improvements being proposed at Palm and Harding. In this case, north is on the left side of the screen. And we can see high visibility crosswalks across Harding and Palm. Again, raised concrete medians, although I should point out that those can be planted with landscaping. They don't have to be just plain concrete like they're shown here as just gray blobs, but we can actually put in some nice landscaping there. Again, you get the refuge island, you get the horizontal deflection, somewhat narrow, vehicular lane there of 11 feet. Of course, we're maintaining a bike lane through there as well. So next steps for this project, we're going to continue with preliminary engineering, and also at the same time, we're going to be conducting public outreach for this project. And hopefully preliminary engineering and public outreach will be completed by the middle of this year. So because of COVID-19, we're not going to have face-to-face public meeting. We're actually going to have an online survey, a web page, put out video updates, mailings, social media, and other electronic communication tools for the public's input on this project. We hope to complete final design by the end of this year. And once that's ready to go to City Council, we will take it to Council early next year to approve plans and specifications, and also to authorize bidding. And then once that bidding process is completed, we will return to City Council and ask the Council to award a construction contract in early to mid 2021. So again, the recommended action for this evening is to support staff's recommendation to implement the Village of Barrio Traffic Circles Project 4015. And that concludes the presentation slides, but we'd be happy to answer any questions. And we also have our consultant here online as well.
Okay, thank you. Let's go to question from commissioners. Vice Chair Johnson, do you have comments or questions?
No.
Okay, Commissioner Pensiers?
Yes. If we could go back to the slides that show the alternate traffic calming at both those intersections.
Can you see this?
Not yet. I see. Thank you.
Oh. Let's see. Not sure. Okay.
Okay, that one's good. All right. So what we have here, the bike lane on the it would be the south side of the street. That looks fine. It looks like though, as you proceed, do those bike lanes currently exist?
Yes, they do. This is Matt Capuzzi. I'm the consultant, project manager.
Okay.
My name shows up on here as Nabil Abdu. That's one of my colleagues. I don't know why that happened. So.
Oh, okay. All right. Okay. So, and I see parked cars there. So are you going to red curb the area? What's the idea? Are we going to lose parking as a result of this? Is that going to be an issue with the residents?
Yeah, so yeah, some parking will be lost with this design. Also at the traffic circles, there will also be parking lost at those locations as well. And if we had put a traffic circle here, we would also be losing parking.
Mm-hmm. All right. So let's go back to that previous slide then again. On the north side of the street, as the bike lane shifts into what is currently a parking lane, it looks like it goes all the way to the intersection without becoming dashed. Is that correct?
So this is just a conceptual plan. When we develop actual construction drawings, we'll make sure that everything matches the MUTCD.
Okay, that's really my question, is that we will be following that. Okay, that might be a tough sell once you start to eliminate parking. Since the speeds will be reduced in that area, did you consider when the bike lane ends just providing sharrows in the middle of the lane, which would also eliminate any possibility of right hooks on the north side?
So we could look at that, sure. I mean, then you would have like a 16-foot lane, and my concern would be, I mean, I guess we could make these islands bigger.
Yes,
So
that would be the other option, is make it. You still would have an 11-foot lane, but then it becomes a shared lane, and with the amount of traffic on that road, that might work pretty well, and that would eliminate the issue with loss of parking, I believe.
I see. So you're saying to maintain the parking and have the bikes go into a sharrow.
Yeah.
Maybe right back to the east side of this exhibit, which is the right side of the page, right there where the bike lane is kind of in a diagonal, to kind of drop it into a sharrow so we can maintain the parking.
Yeah, that's one option that that you might want to consider. I mean, I'd feel comfortable there. I don't know, maybe some of the other cyclists that would be in there would not like it. But the objective would be to prevent those cyclists who are shifted over against the curb from being right hooked by people that are going to be able to make a very fast right-hand turn onto Madison. I don't know, the other way you could fix that is, I guess, with a bulb out on the east side of Madison, but these are just things I'm trying to look at from the standpoint of you eliminate one problem and then you create another one, which could result in some collisions with between cars and bikes at that right turn.
Yeah, Commissioner, we could take a look at that corner on the north east corner to see if we could address the speeds on that intersection corner. I think that would be a good thing to look at. So I'd be concerned about that speeds around that corner myself.
Yeah, I think maybe that's one of the reasons you didn't want to use a traffic circle there, is because the right turn would be there's not enough deflection there, which is still going to be the case with these as they're shown. So can we go back to the other one on Harding, please? So again, the issue here might be loss of parking. And if that comes up and there's no other way to get around it, then you could also consider the use of sharrows there, particularly on the what would be the east side, the bottom of the picture. Again, to prevent the possibility of right hooks for, most of the drivers I see out there, when the bike lanes become dashed, they don't understand that they need to move into that bike lane to make that right-hand turn. They tend to make it from out in the middle of the lane, which makes it a little bit hazardous for cyclists that are in the bike lane if they are, for example, on an e-bike and they're going as fast as the drivers are and they're in the blind spot. These situations occur now on Carlsbad Boulevard going north, and I just see that as a potential safety issue here.
Okay, do you have any other questions?
Yeah, if we could go back to the picture on the that showed where all these roundabouts are located.
You see that?
I'm still on Harding Street at the moment.
Here we go.
There we go. Okay. So one of the things that's in the I think it's in the Barrio, the master plan, is that the Oak Street is going to be enhanced under the I-5 for pedestrians and cyclists. And one of the documents that I read is that Oak Avenue then would become like a bicycle boulevard. And especially if once the train tracks are lowered, then Oak would cross over the tracks and so we'd have bicycle access from both sides of the I-5 on very low traffic, low speed streets all the way to the beach. And maybe instead of if it turns out that the traffic calming at Palm is not acceptable. I wonder if we could put an additional traffic circle at Harding and Oak Avenue. And then let's see, there's Madison and Oak as well. I wonder if those intersections are planned to stay as four-way stops. Is that it?
This is Matt Capuzzi again from Chen Ryan. Mr. Commissioner, I think I can answer some of those questions. In the Village and Barrio Master Plan, Oak is identified to have cycle tracks on it. Part of our feasibility analysis, because cycle tracks don't really make that much sense with traffic circles because of the fact that at the intersection, which is the most dangerous place, you have to go from a cycle track down to a class 3. So it's a big change. And that's really where you want the maximum protection in a cycle track type project, is at the intersections. So we did a level of traffic stress analysis for Oak, and we determined that a class 2 or class 3 would both be sufficient for that street. And then you also asked about four-way stops. The only four-way stop on Oak is at Roosevelt. The other ones are not four-way stops.
So right now the stop is on Oak Avenue and Harding has the right of way.
Right.
And the same exists at Madison. Madison has the right of way.
And Jefferson too, yes.
Okay, but that's where there may be a traffic circle, right?
Yes, correct.
Yeah.
Oh, and then another thing I could mention too, in the Village and Barrio Master Plan, these other two intersections, Madison and Harding intersection with Oak, they're shown as to get bulb outs to shorten pedestrian crossing distances and slowing down turners, vehicles turning, especially right turners. So that's another part of the Village and Barrio Master Plan.
Oh, okay. I see. All right. Okay. Yeah, I guess the other thing that I just wanted to make a comment on is you are aware that, let's see, oh, is it here or is it further up? Where are the existing roundabouts? I believe they're on Oak Street. Is that correct?
The
Oak Avenue. There are a couple of
There's one
small
on
traffic.
Chestnut, just west of Harding.
Chestnut.
Yes.
Okay, right. Chestnut. Okay.
Yeah, by the park.
Yeah, that's off the map. Yeah. Okay.
It's on the map. It's between the
Okay.
parks there.
All right.
Yeah. Chestnut and Jefferson, right in the park there.
Right. That's correct. I remember that now. Okay. Thank you. All right.
Can we move on to the next commissioner?
Yes, I'm done.
Commissioner Hunter, do you have questions?
No, I'd comment on Commissioner Pensier's comments there about Sharrows versus bike lanes, and as mostly a driver, former biker, I prefer to have the bike lanes, keep them there. I think it keeps them safer, but Pete does it all the time too. So just kind of a mixed. We're giving personal opinions. That would be mine. Other than that, looks good.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I keep the bike lane and say the heck with the parking. Even though I like to park, I like to keep the bikers safe and in their spot. Right. That's all I got.
Okay. Commissioner Perez?
Yeah, just one question in regards to on the previous comments from Commissioner Pensier on Harding and Oak. Was there any community requests or feedback on that area for like a roundabout or?
Harding and Oak is identified, as Matt said, in the Village of Barrio Master Plan for curb bulb outs. So I don't have access to all the public feedback that went into that master plan process. But as I said, that started back in 2013.
Okay. The only reason why I just wanted to know about that is just that area is on one side, on the northeast, you have a shopping area, which the exiting can go onto Oak towards Harding. On the west side of Harding, on the northwest corner, you have some restaurants there. And then south of Oak, you have a community worship. And then to the right of it, you have an ancillary parking. So to me, it just seems like there's a lot of movement in that area. But if the community, or if there wasn't any feedback, I just wanted to get some information on that.
Yeah, we wanted to honor that process, that Village and Barrio Master Plan. As I said, that was a very extensive public outreach process. So we wanted to honor all of those community members that spoke out. And we didn't want to try to deviate and, change all the intersections based on what the Village and Barrio Master Plan had already laid out for us.
Mhm.
Hey, Jonathan, could you talk a little bit about the other improvements, for example, the bulb outs on Harding and Oak, that this project is only doing a portion of which are traffic circles, and the actual Barrio Master Plan has other improvements that would be completed at another time? Could you kind of elaborate on that a little bit?
Yeah, sure. So the Village Barrio Master Plan does include many other improvements that are not part of this project. So we've already talked about curb bulb outs. There's also one intersection that's identified as a public gathering place. I believe that's Roosevelt and Walnut, but it's not shown on here. So don't quote me on that. But the plan was to have this sort of phased out. So we weren't going to try to construct everything at once in the barrio. So this traffic circle project was basically like, you could think of it as a phase one. And then ultimately there are other things. There were, like was mentioned earlier, there's a cycle tracks proposed on some of the streets. There's the curb bulb outs. And again, there's a public gathering space, which is one of those intersections. But those would be separate projects, as John's pointing out.
Great, thanks, John, for the clarification.
Okay. Commissioner Linky?
Just one question about the community feedback. So once the final decisions are made of what you want to put in here, are the residents in the area going to be contacted again with that final plan? Make sure that they're okay with it?
Yeah, and actually we're not going to wait for final engineering because we think that's too far along. We want to do the public outreach now. So we've already started gathering staff and resources to that end. We were going to actually have a public meeting in March, but due to the COVID-19 pandemic, obviously we canceled that. So we are moving forward with online survey, webpage, those other things I mentioned, mailings. And we're going to do that now as before we get to final design so that we can get their input and feedback early. What you're seeing is just a conceptual designs, basically. There's not even a survey, there's no engineering yet, really, other than the feasibility analysis.
Okay, I appreciate all your hard work on this important project.
Thank you.
Commissioner Fowler?
No, I don't have any questions.
Okay. My only comment on this, I love roundabouts. I think they're very efficient. My only concern that I've seen the rendering, and I love when I see green and plants and art, but yeah, that's just perfect because that feels like a roundabout. My experience with driving to Kelly Elementary on Kelly, it hasn't been so nice because they're just 4 or 5 bulbs or how many there are, and it's just very hard to see that's even a roundabout. So I'm not sure if the city is making a commitment on making the roundabouts very visible and pleasant to the eyes. I mean, I know that this is efficient. It's also efficient because we don't have to use traffic lights and we don't have the maintenance and that. So I hope that we're going to spend a little bit of funds, like you said, we have arts, to make it pleasant, and it makes our city beautiful, but it is also a safety since it's actually visible and people can drive over with big trucks. So with that comment, I will ask for a motion.
I move that we approve the recommendation.
I'll second it.
Okay, please note that Commissioner Linke made a motion to approve the recommendation and Commissioner Hunter seconded. Can we have a vote? Ellie? I can see it on mute. And her video is off. Is Ellie still with us?
Hi, Ellie texted me and said her screen locked up, so she is unable to respond. But Nathan, do you have controls possibly of the?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I can just go through and take the roll.
Yeah.
So I'll just go through the screens here, starting with Commissioner Gokan,
Yes, I approve.
Commissioner Johnson,
I approve.
Commissioner Perez,
I approve.
Commissioner Hunter,
I approve.
Commissioner Pensiers,
Yes.
Commissioner Linke,
Yes.
and Commissioner Fowler.
Okay, with that, please note that it passed unanimously.